table, supports following suit on the side of Gambit.
Yeah, frankly, not shocked that a Kaiser will be banned, something that you'll expect to see for the remnants of this tournament. Kaiser just super strong right now, no matter what the patch is. And of course, we are on 8.8, so still moving forwards. And it's not just the Kaiser that you will start to see more and more of, it is that Caitlyn. The AD carry role is a big place of focus.
And just bot lane in general, we see 2 support bans laid out, 2 AD carry bans laid out. Skarner, though, appears to still be at the top of everyone's lists in the jungle, as Gambit do prioritize taking him away in this situation.
Yeah, super regional thing as well. Skarner isn't something that you see in every region, but when it is there, it is a super big deal. And you've got the Morgana and the Alistar gone with that. 2 major supports being focused. Morgana, weirdly enough, in the LPL was a mid laner once, but it is actually a support, and that does leave up options like the Karma and the Rakan.
Immediate Rakan lock-in. They ban away the Anivia from Kira, his comfort pick, all-star on that champion, but now the Rakan locked in. Rusty.
I'm not going to say it yet.
Rusty, we were talking about it. I think you got to let the people know. Guys, this might not be a support Rakan. Rumor has it, maybe you followed Perks on Twitter and you've seen Rakan in the mid lane may just be a thing. We're going to see exactly where it ends up this time around, but the Karma will be locked in on the side of KLG as well as the Sion to follow.
And I will say that it's a low chance given the rest of the bans that we've seen and the Karma taken away, but it is still a chance. You can still potentially see the Rakan in the middle lane. Looking towards the other side, however, with Kaos Latin Gamers' first 2 picks, they have rounded themselves out with a lot of utility already. They're only missing the damage, and we're only 2 picks in as it stands. So they've set up a team composition in the makings, perhaps protecting their AD carry.
And this may just confirm that the Rakan is going to the bot lane. Xayah and Rakan linked up together, of course, have received some hits in terms of how they function as a duo, but still potentially as terrifying as ever.
Absolutely. When they're the duo, they are still going to be strong. It's the availability of Rakan specifically, no matter how much you nerf them. If you've got double the dash distance, that's double the engage distance potentially there. And often you'll just bait your AD carry to stand forwards, and you're always there to help.
Good potential to turn it around. Gambit debating on their last pick of the first pick phase. See if they want to match top lane. Trundle, of course, a flex pick by nature. See exactly where they want to put that one as we progress further. And a quick, almost no hesitation coming in from the side of KLG, giving Tienwulf that Graves in the jungle.
Yeah, you see the Trundle locked in, and immediately the Graves follows for Tienwulf. And Graves is a champion that you will start to see more of in the jungle role as well moving throughout this tournament. Super good clear, as you would expect. Graves hasn't changed in that regard at all, and he can bully people very successfully. And Trundle, very difficult to actually catch Graves if they ever meet in the jungle 1v1. You can just dash over the pillar, and you're pretty safe.
Easy escapes, get to farm up nice and safe. And of course, the champion that's just been slowly banned consecutively over so many patches, now finally showing his face here on the international stage. Vladimir taken off the board. We did see that a little bit kind of across regions in the more recent patches. Tristana taken off, so a lot of the AD carry picks getting just chipped away at. We have to wonder what Fix is actually going to be able to pick up here as the Ornn is also taken off the table.
That's the curious thing. So we've got the Caitlyn, the Kaiser, you've got Xayah locked in, and Tristana now being banned away. That's a lot of his champion pool there specifically for Fix. So moving past this, hyper carries is still a place presumably they may start to look towards when you've got the Karma locked in, you've got a Sion to stand in front, but their options very limited moving through the rest of this. Varus is still something that could be seen, however, and maybe alongside this is the other remaining option.
Taking their time, really debating what AD carry they want to lock in, saving that last pick for mid lane, or potentially top, as the Sion remains a flex as well. But Jhin going to be the lock-in here for KLG. A bit more utility from Fix on the bottom side of the map. I want to see how this affects their play style, if they're comfortable not putting Fix on the more hyper carry style pick.
And note that Gambit banned away the Braum, so they're pretty aware that the Karma should be going towards the middle lane, and that's where you look towards a support role as the remaining pick for KLG. And what do they want to keep their AD carry alive? Well, to me, the answer isn't necessarily to do that anymore. It's just that Jhin, who's going to be standing in the back lines, contributes damage, but isn't your Cogmore, isn't the person who stands in front. It may actually be about protecting Tienwulf as he gets control through the early game, which is pretty standard for KLG.
And I love these compositions because we know KLG want to play through that early game. Gambit much more comfortable later on. Where you've got the Xayah, the Rakan, the Galio all together. When Gambit does decide to fight, Rusty, it's going to be wild. And now the Gangplank backing it up as well. Going right to the top lane for PVpStejos. Both of the carries here for Gambit set up for some aggressive fights.
And we watched Gangplank go through to the 9th pick in this draft phase as well. It was spoken towards Nate that if you give him Gangplank, that is above and beyond his best champion. But they're able to give that one away. Gambit's able to lock that down as their last pick for themselves, and the compositions are set here. We've just added more engage to the mix.
I love it. Jhin Leona versus Xayah Rakan. There is so much CC in this bottom lane, Rusty. Someone is dying in the first 8 minutes. I can feel it.
I do feel like there is harmony with one of those bottom lanes, however. The other one is a Jhin Leona, which does raise some questions as to how it's going to play out. But it's not the worst combo. Jhin, if he's able to keep his distance, is usually in a safe spot. Leona's just going to have to be a super frontline tank for him right now. Otherwise, things can unwind very negatively. And then you throw Galio into the mix. Then you throw Trundle into the mix. They can lock you down. That team composition, when it comes to engaging and picking, is quite strong.
We want to see exactly how it unfolds. What do we expect from the side of Kaos Latin Gamers? We know they like to play more towards the early game. What are their options here, Rusty?
I mean, right now it is all about the Graves to me. When you look at that whole draft, where does it center around? Karma has very good push in the mid lane. Sion should be able to control the top lane as well. All eyes should go to Tienwulf. He's the star of the team, and for good reason, but he usually comes towards the bottom lane, so that's where it gets tricky.
Here we go, folks. Game 1. Kaos Latin Gamers versus Gambit Esports. Players taking a brief moment of pause, debating their options here before they load into game.
And it was mentioned, you know, it's a single best of ones, double round robin. Every game super important. Starting the tournament with a victory is the best and only way that you want to be doing this if you're either of these teams, because the only spot that matters is first.
Absolutely a difficult spot to be, knowing that you have to be better than every single one of the teams in your group to even make it to the next stage, to make it to that best of 5, to earn a spot on the MSI main stage. There it is. You can hear the fans ready, cheering for their respective teams. And Rusty, eyes on Graves. We expect the early game. We talked about mid and top push in favor of KLG.
30 seconds until
what do we expect from Gambit? How does Gambit play around that? Can they anticipate the strategy coming in from KLG?
Well, I don't know if you're too familiar with Diamondprox, but he is a man that does some very abstract things when it comes to playing League of Legends. And whilst he is on a conventional champion in the Trundle, the way that he passes and the way that he plays around in the early game is sometimes a little bit more unconventional. If he knows, and he should, that the top side of the map is very powerful for KLG and it could be a place where there's a cause for concern, he may hover that area, but he also knows that Kaos Latin Gamers always gank bottom. You watch a single best of 5 from them, you acknowledge that that is their one play style. There is a chance that he tries to cater his style towards that side of the map, and they have the Xayah Rakan. So honestly, KLG, they know what they're doing, everyone knows what they're doing, and how to Gambit respond is really up to them.
And one of the nice things for Gambit, very small, Rusty, but I love this. So we have Gangplank with the Klepto over the Grasp, and normally I'd be like, ooh, what's the decision process here? But he's procced it once now, a single parlay, and he immediately gets the Elixir of Fortitude. This is the dream start for any Klepto user on the top side of the map, as you do to the junglers picking up their first teams.
Absolutely. Getting that on your first proc is, he wants more as well. I mean, you're into the Sion matchup, so there's plenty of opportunities to get those procs off, and he's not going to be in a best position when you're looking at the push. That should still be belonging to Nate. A lot of the focus, though, and may well be down here. Trundle's in.
Creative pathing. No chance to escape. The chain CC is coming in. Diamondprox right there. First blood for Gambit. So early in the game. Goodbye, KLG early game.
It slows a level 1 Leona, so there is no real opportunity to help his ally who has just been taken down. That is very cheeky coming out of Gambit. The fact that they get the kill makes it all the better. Now, Tienwulf will try and trade, but Diamondprox is the real winner.
And this is the innovation we've come to expect from Gambit, always creative with how they like to play on the international stage since the days of EpicSkillshot Luna when it was Kira and PVpStejos on that lineup. Good news is Tienwulf does get to steal this back. He's going to get the level 3. He's going to be a little bit ahead in terms of CS in the jungle. It's going to be difficult here knowing that that bot side has such a big advantage.
Yeah, we'll get to see that again, of course. Diamondprox starts with the blue buff. He's got the Xayah Rakan, and you acknowledge how strong that is at level 1. Fix, whilst he tries to flash away, there is no such thing as a safe point when Trundle's even got the pillar to force that flash. You are just there.
And you got to feel for Fix. You know he knows that he's weaker in the lane. Starts the boots, doesn't want to be anywhere near anybody, and suddenly there's a level 2 Trundle immediately in your face. No red buff, just takes a blue and comes right bot lane.
That's the keeping myself the heck away from everybody approach with the boots. Having 4 extra potions as well, opposed to any 1 pot from a Doran's blade or shield. Knows full well that he's going to get poked out, such is the nature of a Xayah Rakan as well.
And one thing you talked about was that KLG always want to gank, always want to play around bottom, but now with the way the jungle is split up, Rusty, it just feels like Diamond has control of the bottom side. Of course, we see a small trade here.
And I think you're right. And that's the place that we'll have to look. We just pretend this doesn't happen. It's effectively your tank top laners. When you are KLG and you always play towards bottom lane, actually, it might die.
Hero. Getting frisky, feeling the trade, but Plugo just does not hesitate to extend that.
Kira started that trade as well. That's where it got a bit curious from him. But back to the point. KLG always play towards bottom lane. We mentioned that. But they've drafted away from it, which is where I think they'll be okay with this. You know, losing your AD carry at level 1, something that they never, ever want to do. But the fact that it was just the Jhin in this situation means that things could be worse.
Oh, Kira now going to go in. We'll use the taunt, not going to connect. Tienwulf trying to step forward, get a bit of damage down. Kira already burning his TP, may just be forced back again. Tienwulf not going to get aggressive there, not going to use a flash or anything else to commit for the kill, but really awkward spot for Kira to be in, taking so much damage, burning the TP, and immediately getting chunked out again.
Yeah, super curious from Kira. Of course, he keeps dashing forwards with no vision, no knowledge of where Tienwulf is, and Plugo, he was due for a recall, so trying to play aggressive and force him out of lane was the game plan there from Kira, but he's still got the teleport now, and Kira has no health. So he is actually pushed out of lane after this wave. There's a chance that you just watch Kira recall once again, and that gives no pressure to the map. That does not set his team up whatsoever, and consistently unlocks Tienwulf.
Plugo doing exactly what KLG needed to do, pressuring out in the mid lane, consistent pressure being applied. Kira definitely suffering from that. Now Diamondprox returns to the top side of his jungle. No camp's going to be there for him. Raptors on the opposite side if he wants to push for it, but Tienwulf is coming on the top side, does get spotted by a ward. This is the vision control we heard about from Raz on the desk, not letting Tienwulf get in for some of those aggressive ganks.
Yeah, KLG have a 90% win rate at 15 minutes if they actually have a gold lead. They are an early aggressive team, and it has been seen that they're not too sure how to come back when they're at a point that it's a deficit. So for Gambit so far, it's only 5 minutes in, but they've kicked this one off on the right foot. If they keep that momentum going, KLG do not lose gracefully.
And Rusty, I just have to keep looking at the bottom lane, man. Swiftness boots for Fix does not want to fight ever. This man has decided the first 12 minutes of this game, he will not even trade. He is here to push a lane. He is here to walk away from Messiah and Rakan. That is a tough spot to be in.
You see that with Sivers occasionally, you know, the late game CS win conditions, but not with the Jhin. These battle stations, and it's not a safe place to be in for yourself. It's hard to kill him. Very hard to get in range, especially as a Rakan, so you've got that going for you. But
I mean, if you're KLG, oh, may just see the engage here. Tienwulf is on the bottom side. That's the chain CC we talked about. Edward trying to make his way out. Tienwulf, though, hungry for a little bit more. Not going to find the kill, but good pressure put down on the bottom side of the map.
You'll take the damage. It is a good trade for you in the end, and you have shown your jungler, however. So for Gambit, they've got information, and you can't really kill a Rakan when he's got a Xayah next to him, regardless of the distance between them. The dash being increased is just fantastic for them. So he'll live. Well done from Edward as well. Didn't actually need to use a summoner.
A good spot to be in, using the mobility of Rakan to get out just as easily as he could use it to get in. Tienwulf, though, going to start to take more camps away. Not really a big jungle CS difference between the two. Maybe not quite the lead that Tienwulf wanted to get in the early game, but has been putting down a couple of ganks. So not going to have quite the lead that maybe a Graves is used to.
Yeah, looking past this point, we're just starting to crest over to the level 6 mark, and this is where a lot of opportunities open up for the side of Gambit, when you've got the Galio combo that you can work with, a Trundle pillar even to zone people away, but it is mostly around that bottom lane when you've got a Rakan that has to go forwards. And I think the moment that they start to look is the moment that Edward ticks over to the level 6 point, when he gets that big power spike and can utilize Kira effectively.
And we also have to remember, this is when we really expect KLG to be in control of the map, is this early game. Slow, just trying to keep the aggression coming out. Because we look at it, we heard about the carry duo, it is PVpStejos, it is Kira, and really, Kira there for the utility, and Stejos needs the time to scale up. And KLG
bringing down Plugo right now. They're actually looking for a dive. There's no Sion available, however.
Defiance not going to connect there on the Zenith Blade. That's not good news. There comes the Gangplank. Oh, now they're trying to back it out. The damage comes in slow. They're going to be in a tough spot here. They're ready to turn it. They're just leaving him to die. In comes Kira. He's going to get one. Actually, all going to go over in the end. Beautiful turnaround for Gambit.
And you can see the idea from KLG, right? Get everyone together, group them up, go towards bottom lane. But they didn't have Sion. And then they actually lose the trade, even having to flash away here, Plugo. That was the start of a potentially okay idea where the execution was off in the first place, and they said, in for a penny, in for a pound, we may as well commit to the dive, and it goes completely sideways.
This is exactly how Gambit liked to play the game, Rusty. We saw it in their finals. Anytime the opposition would try to make a play, anytime Rocks would try to make a play, they were there to punish. It's holding true here on the international stage up against Kaos Latin Gamers. Let's look at it one more time.
And it starts with Slow missing the E, of course, on the Leona, so has to flash forwards, and he's tanking the turret because he's the first person to go in, so can't contribute past that point, just has to run away. Tienwulf, whilst he was level 6, tried to burst, tried to escape, and then Diamondprox was there at the correct moment as well. Hits the pillar and locks them all down under the turret. Very well done from Gambit as a counter gank, and then, of course, forcing Plugo's flash in the end. Little extra bonus on top.
Oh, in a tough spot for Tienwulf. We know Tienwulf, the veteran of this team, the vocal leader, and we've heard from experts, when the team starts to fall behind, he stops talking, and the team starts to fall apart. We have to see if that's something that he's changed. He can keep that mental together and keep this team going in a pretty difficult early game. Gambit now, 2K gold lead and an Infernal Dragon to boot. Happy to have it. They've got the GP. They've got the time to scale up.
Oh, they're good. They have all the time in the world. Karma has control of mid, but starts to scale off a little bit as well. Usually builds supportive and empowers the AD carry, but the AD carry is a Jhin with boots of swiftness. Has actually got himself a bear sword at least, but that's a lot of scaling still left to happen before they really come online. For an early game team to not have that early game, and for Gambit to even have an Infernal Drake and be a team fighting team, they are sitting pretty.
Talk about level 6 as being a big opportunity, but Lodik now with his level 6, Edward as well, means that pretty easy for them to dictate the pace of the bottom lane, especially as Slow is lagging behind. Needs that ulti before he can really threaten too much more, but Tienwulf is here. Ready to commit the time to try to make a play happen, trying to bait Edward into getting aggressive. He is the kind of guy who loves to make those plays.
It's really difficult to make this play once again. There's no unsealed spellbook, however, from Edward. He hasn't swapped over to a cleanse by any means against Leona. He's committed to Ignite, so if they can lock him down and they can keep him locked, they might be able to go for the kills. Ultimately, it's a Graves ganking, so it's hard to do.
Trying to use the pink ward as bait. Trying to hit that Zenith blade, I think immediately giving away their hand the second they go for the engage.
He's baiting for the ward.
Has to get it. Gambit just playing on the edge here. They want to go in. You can tell, but they know something's wrong. They know that there's a reason that KLG are playing so far forward despite a deficit. Of course, Fix with a small CS lead, though. Happy to have it as he pushes in. Will disappear instantly as Lodik catches the wave. Diamondprox continues to farm, and really, Gambit are sitting pretty, Rusty. 10 minutes in, we thought, hey, maybe they'll get a slight deficit, but they've got a pretty significant advantage.
Yeah, they're very well off. At the same time as well, you know, Graves meant to be a hard farming jungler, and he spent most of his time looking towards lanes, and Diamondprox didn't go towards the Tiamat on his Trundle. Usually you'll do that against something like the Graves if you want to keep up with them. Instead, he's just completely rushed his Cinderhulk out. Super tanky, and keeping up with the Graves that has spent all of his time looking towards those lanes, so they are very well off.
Exactly what they need here. We talked about the importance of kind of starting this stage with a win. Gambit well on their way. KLG not out of it yet by any means, but things are looking a little bit difficult. Nate on the top side, though, doing well to keep up with the GP so far. Has been a weakness of his domestically, falling behind in these early laning phases, but have to see maybe the Sion can contribute more in the coming fights.
Yeah, we are at a teleport time, right? We've got the Trinity Force for PVpStejos, however, so if you're looking to fight right now as KLG, that may be a mistake. Note that the Gangplank has the ult, has the teleport, and Gambit are the ones going forwards right now.
They're just threatening. Slow, though, wants to go in. The TP is going to be used. The chain CC follows up. Locked down. Out comes the ultimate from... Find it. Sion is going to go forward, looking for the chain CC. Lodik has to use the ult. No more defensive tools used, and he gets taken down in the end. Kira now running for his life. Tienwulf on the hunt, has the Sion there. The CC, the slow. Knockup not going to connect. He's reloading. He's looking for a little bit more, but it's Kira who's next on the menu. One more shot! Taking him down as Vix finds the kill. Another one to follow. KLG right back in the game.
Now Plugo looking for the one remaining kill. Will not get it onto Edward, but the name of the game seems to be whoever dives is the one who loses the team fight right now. And it was Gambit's turn to dive. They thought they had the opportunity, but it was messy. It was very far from clean. And they're meant to pay for it. KLG back in the game. They will lose the turret top lane though, so they start to bleed objectives, but they are well and truly still within touching distance.
PVpStejos fine to give up his team there a little bit, knowing he could get the tower. Meantime, KLG will respond back, but not the tower first blood, Rusty. And still a deficit for KLG, despite the proactive or reactive play there, working out in their favor on the bottom side of the map.
I mean, it's only ultimately around 1,000 gold now, and it was a lot more before that. If the dive was successful, it could have been an incomprehensible amount for them that they would never be able to come back from, right? So ultimately, KLG are in a very good spot from where they were 1 minute ago. But you have to credit that to Gambit, oddly enough, that they chose to make that play too aggressively. They didn't sit back, continue to scale this time. They thought they could dive.
And I feel like you have to praise Slow, turning the fight immediately, knowing he could land the skill shots necessary onto that Xayah. Of course, Nate is here spotting this Rift Herald out. Multiple members now coming. The swap will come through for the side of KLG. They can heal up, but no Rift Herald going to fall for either side. So well played by Nate to disrupt the objective take there. But unfortunately, it does mean bottom tower is going to fall. So yet another advantage over to the side of Gambit.
It's on a cannon wave too. They chose to swap their lanes, and yes, they'll be able to stop the Herald. Ultimately, Gambit having their bottom lane away as Diamond.
Main CC. Diamondprox going to absorb as many of those stats as he can, but just walks it out. A lot of resources committed.
After all, just uses the pillar, uses the ultimate, just waddles away. Not a lot that can lock him down, even though Leona hits every form of crowd control. He's still a Trundle. There's no damage to contribute towards that. KLG is still trying to threaten the top lane outer turret above all else, but they are so far behind in the tempo. The Gambit are just answering everything and then some.
Yeah, and of course we look at that engage. Tienwulf just doesn't even have a warrior enchant yet. He cannot deal enough damage to take down Diamondprox in those short skirmishes. He's going to need a little bit more here. When is he going to decide to back and complete some of these items? Because if he is the guy that we want to look at, if he is the guy who can carry this team, he needs to share some of this damage burden. And right now, he's not contributing too much.
He does have the money to actually purchase it, so you'd hope that that recall will be continued through and that he will get the items going for himself. He's in a position where he's not strong currently until then, and that's a moment where KLG could actually start to press forwards. They don't have the Jhin damage fully online, but if they put him with Graves, it does exist.
KLG going for yet another aggressive play under tower. Maybe going to look to take down Kira here, but they see the Trundle. Good bit of vision there placed in the mid lane to make sure they know exactly who's coming. Because the worst situation, Rusty, would really be to try to dive a Galio when a Trundle shows up.
I mean, you could almost say the worst case scenario is trying to dive a Galio.
Yeah, true.
Just
but
leaving it there.
I mean, if you dive him by himself, like diving a Shen, he can't ult anybody, right?
That's
not so close enough for him to get out. Yeah, just generally all around feels like a bad idea.
Probably not.
And now Nate, his sole job is to disrupt Diamondprox taking objectives, and he will keep that trend going, although he is taking
Diamond's completely stuck.
Stuck between him and the Dragon, wants to heal for a little bit more, but Tienwulf overstaying his welcome in the enemy jungle, not seeing the vision in the brush, and gets taken out immediately by the Gambit bottom lane. The deficit just continues to grow for KLG, but you can see they're desperate to make it back somewhere.
And you will note that Diamondprox also survived down near the Dragon as well. They weren't able to pick him up. Tienwulf perhaps trying to trade, acknowledging that they knew where the Trundle was. Might have been able to go over to the blue buff, but it is a lack of respect towards what a Xayah Rakan can do. And even now, Edward starts to push forwards. He's starting to feel himself as well. Has Merc Treads rushed. He's not too worried about the stuns, wants to stand in front.
And that's how you know the Gambit is feeling confident, because you know Edward wants to be in people's faces 24/7. He's been the same player since the dawn of League of Legends, always wanting to be aggressive. And when he's confident enough to walk into two enemies, you can tell his team has that lead to enable him to do so.
The problem with Sion, knocking things around as well, resetting the aggros. Feels bad, man. I mean, they'll still get it, but that's tragic.
Eventually, Karma does not have it now, and he'll have to go get it after this wave, so a bit of a time sink. It won't be the end of the world. And Edward takes his time here, lets the CC come through, waits for his 80 carry. Smite comes out, but Tienwulf just gifted it over to that support.
Yeah, good from Edward to save his ultimate. Didn't use the whole combo at once. Knew full well that Tienwulf was just trying to smite it and get out, but prevented that from happening at all and bought a lot of time for his 80 carry Lodik to come in, secure that one.
And now Diamondprox is looking so comfortable in the jungle as well, well on the way to the Zeke's convergence. And we still see Graves lagging behind. Tienwulf has the attack speed boots, has the warrior enchantment. Yeah, maybe he can duel someone if he catches him out, but just can't find the opportunities. Slowed onto slow. He's just going to go for the disengage as Gambit just continue to have pressure about everywhere but mid.
They've actually just kept laning. We're 17 minutes in. They're really content with sitting in their lanes and forcing KLG to come to them. And that is not a bad decision when you've got a Galio and a Gangplank that can be there in a heartbeat.
You're on a ward. That's a little awkward. He is going to get locked up. Didn't see the ward coming, but in goes the hero's entrance. Not going to connect with anybody but slow. Nate is available on the backside. Gambit potentially caught themselves in a bit of a tough spot here. We'll get the knock up into one. Just going to connect with the Diamondprox. So the flash out will take him to safety. Edward leaps out onto Lodik, and there's the curtain call. But who is it going to be curtains for? Diamondprox disrupting as best as he can, and no one is going to drop. Great escape coming in from Gambit.
Nobody dying, but KLG still have control of the Herald area. They should be able to secure the objective. You can see Gambit now pushing forwards in the river one more time, perhaps looking to catch them off and prevent them from getting the objective, and they are looking.
Psejos is here. Has the Trinity Force, can do a lot of damage. The taunt available. Kira gonna lock up Nate immediately. Slow is going to go in, but he has no mana to get out. He's gonna get taken down in just a moment. Lodik grabs the kill. Edward weaving in and out of the backline to keep his carries safe. Plugo and the rest of the KLG lineup split. They may just have to give this one over. Tienwulf has the smite available, but no position to respond. Yet another objective going over to the side of Gambit.
Just resorting to having Plugo attempt to steal that one away. Ultimately will not be stolen. The smite there from Diamondprox to secure it with the chomp at the same time. And now they have a Rift Herald that they can summon towards the middle lane if they would like. And that is the one left as Kira.
Looking for the taunt, isn't going to find it. They're trying to play around PVpStejos. They know he's strong. Great auto attack on the barrel to deny anything else. KLG still comfortable in those skirmishes, but it's the fights that have been turning against them. And Rusty, you can see the results.
Never ending there. Constant skirmishes. This is the second in a row looking towards the Herald where Nate is the only person who gets caught by the taunt. Slow thinks this is a brilliant idea to go forwards and protect his top laner. In the end, it was Slow that does go down, giving an opportunity to Gambit once again.
And you can see Fix doesn't even get a chance to auto attack in that fight. Gets a dancing grenade off, gets a snare, gets to ult, but doesn't even get the chance to approach to auto attack. Not comfortable going forward when he knows Edward still has those engage options. When he sees that GP, now with the Sterix completed as well.
Couldn't look too much worse for KLG when you look forwards to the rest of the game. And the Gangplank now being 40 to 50 odd CS ahead as well as having those two items, and it's a Kleptomancy Gangplank, so the gold difference starts to stretch even further. Usually you want to be able to keep him down as best you can, knowing full well that once you hit the item spikes, things go in his direction eventually.
And it's the scary part, because you're Nate, you've built the Tabby, you have the tank items to survive. Yes, you may not be able to win, but you can survive in that lane. Now, on the other hand, if you look at the rest of the team, without the tank items, GP is going to start two-shotting people, Rusty. And when you're the Jhin with no mobility, and no one really to protect you outside of a Karma in these fights, you got to feel nervous. Those Swifty boots not going to count for much.
The old Ardent Sensor that can be built for the Jhin isn't going to do the most work for him regardless. A bit of attack speed, you know, it's a lot of damage for a Jhin. It's nice to have, but there's no on-hit healing like you would like of the old Ardent Sensor.
And now, of course, you're dealing with the Xayah, who will have the Zeeks as well. So additional power, the on-hit damage, and a Trundle who gets the pseudo Sunfire Cape and AoE slow. Immobile champions are not going to have a good time in these fights.
Even if they are mobile, the Trundle Pillar can completely throw a spanner into the works. The Herald here, good timing on the summon. There's no Graves nearby. He's in base, so they can't really respond to this whatsoever.
Stales laying down the barrels, looking for the setup. Still, they're going to try to go in. There is the curtain call. They could be in trouble. Not quite tanky enough. Edward charming up every member of the team. Here comes the heroic entrance. Will catch Slow out. The chain CC is there. The Leona is locked down, but she will try to make it to safety. A beautiful pillar comes in from Diamondprox to stop anything else from happening, and Gambit are just running away with this game.
Great pillar. An unfortunate sacrifice. Diamond has to be pretty careful. He doesn't want to die here on the backside. They take the turret, and they are able to disengage. Should spend their money right now. Get those shops in. It is Baron o'clock on the Gambit clock as well, so they'll start to reset, get vision control, and control those side lanes.
In absolute control. Not a lot you can do. KLG, they've got some consolation prizes. They've gotten the tower back. They've gotten the Cloud Drake, but that is about it. This exchange just brutal.
Diamond actually is stunned up under the turret repeatedly, but is still a Trundle. So after all of the stuns wear off, he's able to use the ultimate and actually continues to tank it pretty much full health. The rest of the combo here catches Slow out. The Trundle Pillar once again, Diamond. Very well done from him to ensure that the support Kaos Latin Gamers goes down for his third death.
And Rusty, the CC combo of the Pillar plus the heroic entrance plus the Rakan leaping in, it just feels like there's no answer on the side of KLG to stop this from happening, short of a Sion who just takes too long to charge up that knockup.
And you know, when a Galio starts coming towards you, channeling the taunt as well, there's a 50-50 of will he flash onto me or will he just keep walking? But imagine there's a Trundle Pillar in between all of that. That means you have to flash. Things get very deadly for you, especially with summoner spells.
You don't get choices anymore when a Trundle Pillar appears behind you and you see that nice little circle telling you Galio's on his way to the fight. You flash or you die at this point if you are KLG. A lot more death at this point of the game, unfortunately, for this lineup. The Gambit were coming in as a team that wanted to prove themselves after a pretty crushing defeat in the World's plans and are already on to a good start.
One thing you do have to look towards is it's not the full AP Galio that you tend to see from most of them at the moment. Starting with the Abyssal Mask first, which by no means is a bad decision. But moving forwards, they will have a lot more damage in many of those roles. As it currently stands, you would say there's a lot more importance on Stejos being nearby or controlling the side lanes a bit more heavily to enable them to have better skirmishes or engages. As it currently stands, KLG getting towards item spikes at the very least. They can find themselves with a fighting chance from these decks.
Graves finishing the Black Cleaver will be big for fighting out the Trundle, fighting out the tankier picks on the opposite side. Rusty, I think it's important to remember, we look at the Gambit lineup, and it's just easy to assume all this veteran talent, but Lodik, their AD carry, I mean, playing League of Legends part-time, still a university student, a lot of people were questioning, you know, why is Blasting being taken out on such a strong roster? But you can see here, even against a bot-side focused team like KLG, this man is putting up numbers, 2-1-4, backed up by Edwards, 2-0-4. These guys both with 100% kill participation. We expected mid and top to be the center of attention, but bot side has shown up really well.
It seems like Gambit have done their homework, and you're right, Lodik having a very good game so far. No nerves seem to be getting to the rookie on his first international stage debut, especially after such a little amount of games played with the team. Meshing very well with Edward.
See the aggressive style of Edward. And once again, just the second this man has lead, he's fearless, Rusty. He's walking face first into a Graves. He is unconcerned. He can leap out in an instant. You said it earlier, Baron o'clock.
And that's actually a curious itemization choice from Kira Drakos. He goes towards the Ryla's Crystal Scepter as his second item, and I think that's actually quite nice for locking down people with the Q. Throw it out from long ranges, slow them down. Diamond, speaking of court.
Put the turn and burn, immediately using the Trundle ult. Down he goes. My God, the damage coming in from this Gambit lineup is just too much, and with the jungler dead, this may just signal the Baron.
You can tell the vision control is absolutely there for Gambit. The only way KLG get into the area is by face checking. Face checking against the composition of a Trundle and a Rakan will always take you down. So Gambit pushing forwards once again, securing even further vision control now the kill has been secured. The choice is theirs. Do they risk the Baron? Why risk it when you get a free tower mid?
Just continue to push them forward, and honestly the gold lead is so immense at this stage of the game. 8K in their favor. Feels like KLG are just running out of options so quickly. Ardent Sensor finally coming in, backing up the Graves, backing up the Jhin, but might just be too little too late, Rusty.
Does feel that way. I mean, realistically, you'd be looking at maybe 3 items for Fix. The next one does tend to be an Infinity Edge for him. He's got the BF sword there already. But how far away that actually is with gold as well. In that window of time, Gambit, they can take this Drake, they can just go back over to the Baron, and that's more kills, more picks. Perhaps the objective secured as well, and with the Baron, that should be enough for Gambit to just win the game. However, they still need to secure that one, and KLG are fighting constantly to get vision there.
And ready to put it all on Tienwulf's shoulders to potentially steal that one away, to deny it as the jungler. And Edward gets that too. Rusty,
at what point is it too much?
At what point is this man crushing someone's dreams to the point where it's just not okay? You know, he comes in, he denies every engage, he takes away even the little things, the scuttle crabs, you know, the little pieces of joy in Tienwulf's life right now.
Hurts to be a jungler when your Raptors are gone. Well, imagine a support taking away your Scuttle Crab. That's just insulting. Edward on the pulse.
It's grim. Of course, going up against Edward, always going to be difficult. Star-studded lineup once again for the Gambit side. And KLG, we'll have to see how they can recover here, how they can keep up that mental fortitude, but they may just have to count their first game as a loss, depending on how the next few minutes play out. But they're in a good enough position. Gambit still are not comfortable going and trying to force this Baron. So the game doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon.
They do seem to choose to play these slowly. They want the late game team fights. They've got the gold lead. You know, they've accelerated the game in its entirety, and it's just about getting that last major pick, that significant thing that does tip it in their favor. And they haven't even looked at starting the Baron. They haven't even been in the pit baiting it at all. They're pushing past that. They're going into the jungle, the red side where they are now, looking for those picks.
Edward just kind of playing with his food here. Maybe going to look for the engage. Immediately they're going to find the fall. Galio all to come out as well. They want to take down that jungler, but instead they're going to have to settle for the support. As Lodik's on a killing spree. Immediately the fall to flash forward. No hesitation. Edward wants to keep this one going. It's going to take a lot of damage on the crit. Has to leap out to safety, but 2 quick kills in the favor of Gambit.
If anyone to be low right now, Edward is the member that is okay. They've got the Ocean Drake as well, and they've got PVpStejos split pushing on the bottom side of the map on that Gangplank. He's broken a turret. He's looking for more. And still, Gambit do not look for the Baron. They want kills.
And it's just, Rusty, it's terrifying, man. You lose the early game as KLG, the spot where you're supposed to win. Now you're in the late game. You're in Gambit's home turf, and we can see why. Now Nate trying to turn something back in their favor. Steo's going to fumble the flash, but the TP is now being used. Galio on the way, and that is one very strong Gangplank, but here's Tienwulf. Maybe they can take him down. Steo's still hungry for the kill. Gets the Sterix, wants one more barrel, isn't going to get it. KLG getting something back, but that's the Baron you were waiting for, Rusty. In the meantime, it just drops.
Everybody shows up bottom lane this time. The Gangplank starting to run away with the game by his lonesome in the bottom lane. Teleport's just there to wave and watch as he does pass away, but his Baron's secured for his team. They are set. We said it takes the Baron perhaps to just win this one. for Gambit in its entirety. Well, now they've got it, and the cost was actually quite small.
Gonna have to see, and this is the issue when you fall so far behind, you have to commit so many members just to take down one, but Kira is gonna get that flash out. That's the mind game you were talking about earlier, Rusty. Is he gonna commit the flash? Plugo not gonna take the chance, makes it out to safety, and Gambit, the ball is in their court. It's been in their court for so long, and now it's time to see if they can close it out.
Of course, they go back towards the Baron here. We watch Xayah on the opposite side. He is the distraction throughout all of this. They're doing the Baron as we speak. The flash was a mistake. But it wasn't a bad mistake in the end because he's just 1v1ing the side and Tienwulf was trying to predict him. So he's actually okay here and buys a lot of time. Could have been so much worse.
I mean, we take those, let's be honest. If you're going to fail flash to accidentally save your own life for about another 10, 15 seconds.
Make it work.
Is it still a fail flash?
Yeah.
All right, man, fine. You got to look for the little victories, you know? You got to look for the little scuttle crabs you can take away from the support.
Happy little accident.
There you go. Gambit doing what they can to protect here. Of course, Trundle just so far ahead at 3 items, 2 of them so supportive. But Sion just going to knock that creep back. Diamondprox will get locked up, but Edward goes in with the battle dance, ready to use that grand entrance to get the fight started.
That was actually super well done by KLG, getting rid of a banner of command minion as well, preventing it from actually getting hits onto that turret to kill it. But the next wave is about to crash, and there's still going to be constant lingering concerns of Xayah in the side lanes, but he doesn't have Baron. So as the split push goes, it is still difficult for him to navigate. However, when he draws pressure like you're seeing right now of multiple members, it's very easy to go on the opposite side.
And you have to think it's hard to commit too many members to him because you can see even Tienwulf with some tanky stats under his belt, but immediately the engage comes out. Gambit all ready for a fight. Lodik throws out the ult, pulls it right back. Does not need it to peel. He is happy just to dish out the damage. Kira now taking down slow. Nate to follow. The zombie Sion going to be absolutely worthless in this exchange. Just buying a bit of time, but it is the eulogy for KLG in their first game on the back of that fight.
Oh, get the kill and a fix to round it out as well. They've still got the minions here, and it does look like Gambit want to continue to push forwards. Tienwulf may not have what it takes to stop this Nexus from falling.
One man is simply not enough, Rusty. Gambit denying everything KLG threw at them, turning it back in their favor as they look to pick up their first win here at the MSI play-in stage. Tienwulf, one last desperate stand. KDA going to get taken down just another notch as Gambit take their first win.
And it does feel clean from Gambit. As victories go, you'd be very happy with the outcome of that one, how they were able to navigate the game, get themselves the victory. Only 30 minutes in, pretty quick game from them as well. Slow, methodical, but very successful.
And the thing is, we saw every part of Gambit's playstyle showcased there with some new additions. We saw the creative early game play, the creative pathing from Diamondprox. We saw their turnarounds, which were so key in bringing them home the victory in their own region. And we also saw something new. We saw them playing around the bottom side, setting up the bottom side. It was not about top lane and mid lane that game. It was all about the AD carry support duo.
And I think there is a strategy to be spoken towards here when playing against the Kaos Latin Gamers that Gambit seemed to have wanted to display here as well, and that is to focus the bottom lane. Taking away the Rakan specifically as well, that's the place that you'd have to be looking at. I think that was the smart choice. It opened up their bottom lane to be aggressive, to go forwards, to make big plays, and that they did.
And you just gotta wonder, teams watching this, if they're gonna consider taking this Rakan away from Edward. Because I feel like even without the Xayah, it still would have been a terrifying pick. The amount of times that he lived, the amount of times that he actually got away from what looked like guaranteed death, and then maybe turn it around with another engage was quite impressive.
Yeah, Edward was super clutch in that game, and he had to be. He had the team working around him, though you have to remember, how did this actually all start? Well, a level 2 blue buff, Trundle cheese.
I think that's the definitive I'm going to play around bot lane is when you show up to bot lane at the same time as your bot lane, essentially tri-lane for the first 30 seconds.
Yep, it's going to be a pretty big part of it. I will say that set things up very nicely for them. Against KLG, you get an early lead, you tend to win the game, and that is one of the unique ways that you'll see from a side like Gambit to do.
And I want to see if there's adaptation, because we saw in KLG's regular season, they lost every game to Rebirth. But who do they beat in the final to get here? Rebirth. They've shown that they can grow, that they can conquer these kind of weaknesses and overcome opponents. Can they do the same for their next opponent? Can they do the same for the next time that they play Gambit? That's what I want to see.
I think what's curious to me is we didn't actually see the full hand revealed of KLG. We definitely know that they are a Gangplank main in the top lane. It was banned from him in all 5 games of their 5-game final against Rebirth. That's how good he is. But they didn't pick it.
They didn't take it. They took the Sion instead. They put Nate on those tank picks where he had been falling behind for so much. Now, admittedly, he went pretty even in the laning phase, but going even against Kleptomancy isn't... You don't really go even against going even, right? He's always going to have that gold lead over you, and we know that he's going to have the scaling. it just felt like they were too split up. When Sion finally came into the fold and was like being a part of these engages, well, someone had to be catching farm on the side. Yeah. It was a little difficult.
I mean, I think even fundamentally, though, they tried to take things away from Gambit just as much as Gambit did from them. And that's where we ended up with this weird crossroads and this jumbling of champions in the draft. And it's not that the comps were bad. It's that the comps weren't the styles of the teams that were playing them to the highest order. We just saw far more success because Edward can engage. Edward can play Rakan.
And not just Edward, but Diamond as well. I love what he brought to the table in the early game. Let's take a look at a replay brought to you by Acer Predator, just showing off how dominant this player is.
He's a super clutch player with plays like this, things that you don't expect. You know, you come to an international stage and this is the kind of things that he can make happen. Started off strong, started off early, and of course working around his team after.
And this one, admittedly, feels a lot more like Edward and Lodik together, but it shows you how influential one Trundle pillar can be and how confident Diamondprox is when he pillars the Leona, says, you know what, you guys can have that one. I'm going to go over to this other kill and grab that one instead.
They have the Galio as well, to be fair. This big circle of, like, everyone's dead there, so I'm just going to go hunt kills on the backside. You'll be fine, right?
And I think Galio, not a pick that, personally, I expected to see. You know, we heard from the desk, LeBlanc, Ari, all these exciting, like, assassins potentially coming to the meta, and kind of the exact opposite of that in the Galio showing his face up against the Karma that I thought was kind of a creative pick.
Yeah, we do know that Kira's got a champion Ocean, however, when it comes to the champions he can play, so.
All right.
Do it all.
Yeah, absolutely can. Well, after the break, White Lotus makes his return to the international stage as he and Rainbow 7 look to pick up their first win against Ascension Gaming. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
May well be down.